Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, my name is Elder Price, and I would like to share with you the most amazing book. Hello, my name is Elder Grant. It's a book about America a long, long time ago. It has so many awesome parts, you simply won't believe how much this book can change your life. Hello, my name is Elder Green. I would like to share with you this book of Jesus Christ. Hello, my name is Elder Young. Hello, did you know that Jesus lived here in the USA? You can read all about it now. Hello, in this nifty book, it's free. No, you don't have to pay. Hello, my name is Elder Smith.
Hello, my name is Doug Bundy, formerly known as Elder Bundy when I used to ring doorbells a long time ago. But this is Voices from the Dust Radio for Tuesday, the 19th day of November 2013. We welcome you to our show where we share the reason for the hope within us, the reason why the Latter-day Saints are Christians, and the reason why you should be too. So the program is now being rebroadcast at 9 o'clock because our 8 o'clock was cut off, and we went through the whole program, but none of it was recorded. So we're repeating it now here at 9 o'clock, and hopefully everything is proceeding normally. It seems to be. I can hear things on the phone, and I can see on the computer that everything is A-OK. Well, today we're going to read and discuss the seventh and last article under the Witness of Judah. It's found on our website, voicesfromthedust.org, and is entitled A Great Mystery. It reveals how Heavenly Father has reserved a record, a sealed book, which contains the gospel of Christ as it was taught from the beginning, and how seers of the Lord can translate it by the gift and power of God when they are commanded to do so by God. So you can access the text of the article, A Great Mystery, by going to our website, voicesfromthedust.org, and clicking on the menu item, The Witness of Judah. It's right there next to the home page button. And the seventh item listed at the bottom of the drop-down menu is linked to the article, A Great Mystery. It's the last one there in that list. So click on that, and then you will have the text that we'll be reading today. Now, yesterday, we read the previous article, The Divine Decree, where we learned how the Lord not only promised Enoch that the world would never again be flooded with a total deluge like the one that swept the wicked away in the days of Noah, but that he also swore with an oath. He issued a decree that he would call upon the children of Noah so that there would always be a remnant of them among all nations, so long as the earth should stand. Now, this might not make a lot of sense unless you go back and listen to our explanation. Then it makes a great deal of sense, because of the return of those who were taken from the earth, as the Bible said. Zion fled, as the Bible says in Genesis. So they fled, but they're coming back. They're coming back when Jesus Christ returns, and so by now they've expanded to be many nations. So what the Lord was promising Enoch was that he would go to work, so to speak, roll up his sleeves, and see to it that a remnant made it, a remnant of the children of Noah made it all the way to that period of time. Of course, he had to, because that otherwise Jesus wouldn't have, been born, and crucified and so on. But, of course, they could have all been destroyed at the time of the Jews and so on. There's lots of things that the Lord had to do to keep the children of men from being destroyed, because you see, as He is the just ruler of the universe, so it's incumbent upon Him to avenge the blood and to provide justice for those who are slain. And they are slain in great numbers and everything, but the wickedness, He's able to put that off as the judgment off until the time when the earth will be burned with fire. But He made that promise to Enoch that it would a remnant of his children would make it until that time, and they would be preserved. And so that's how we can understand. That's the major theme of the Bible, because all the rest of the Bible is about how He does that, what He calls His act, His strange act in accomplishing all this. But let's begin by reading today's article. All right. It is in the context of the divine decree to Enoch that God calls Abraham, as recorded by Moses in the book of Genesis. Recall that many generations pass away after the Lord floods the earth, destroying the wicked, and the repopulation of the world begins with Noah and his family until we come to the construction of the tower in Babel by Nimrod, the great hunter. And after the Lord confounds the language of the people at the Tower of Babel and scatters them, then many generations pass away again in the scriptures in Genesis there until we come to the account of Abram, son of Terah, in chapter 11 of Genesis. Of course, Abram's name is changed to Abraham, and his wife's name, Sarai, I think, is changed to Sarah, and so on. And we'll talk more about that eventually. But in the meantime, thanks to the voices from the dust, we learned that there's more to the story of the Lord's work than that recorded in the book of Genesis. It turns out that the Lord didn't confound the language of all the people at the Tower of Babel in spite of the texts recorded in Genesis. According to the voices from the dust, there was at least one family that cried unto the Lord for mercy, and He had compassion on them and their friends, insomuch that He did not confound their language. In fact, He led them to what we now call the American continent, which the Lord called a land choice above all lands of the earth. Here they flourished for many centuries before they were finally brought down to total destruction sometime around 200 to 150 BC, after they became fully ripened in sin and iniquity. Excuse me. The discovery then of this startling narrative was explained by the voices from the dust in the Book of Mormon by the prophet Moroni. Now, Moroni was the son of Mormon, who was the compiler of the Book of Mormon, and therefore its namesake. So, Mormon, the father of Moroni, tells us how the ruins of these former inhabitants of the American continent were discovered by the Nephites, and how among these ruins was found a set of 24 plates of pure gold, recording the origin, the history, and the final destruction of this unknown people. Well, the author of the gold plates was a prophet of the Lord named Ether, but of course his language was that of those who came from the Tower of Babel. It was the pure language of Adam, which was unknown by the time these plates were discovered by the Nephites. And that happened in the late 2nd century before Christ. So it was a small group of Nephites that discovered the plates when they had been working in the wilderness, they had been wandering in the wilderness trying to locate the main body of Nephites from whom they had been separated they were separated for many years, and they tried to then find their way back, but they got lost, and they ended up finding these plates among the ruins of a people that really intrigued them. These people were curious to know what the plates contained, these Nephites, but they didn't know how they could ever be translated from the strange language in which they were recorded. And they learned, but soon they learned from a prophet of God that such things were indeed possible. The name of the prophet that explained these things to them was Ammon. His name was Ammon, according to Mormon, who writes that Ammon taught their king, who was named Limhi, that the prophets of God who possess the power to translate ancient records are known as seers, and that the king of the main body of the Nephites, from which this small group had been separated, was just such a prophet and seer. King Limhi then was very curious and wanted to know if he could translate the records, or if anyone could translate these records. So then we hear Ammon explaining this. We'll play the clip now.
Now Ammon said unto him, I can assuredly tell thee, O king, of a man that can translate the records, for he has wherewith that he can look and translate all records that are of ancient date, and it is a gift from God. And the things are called interpreters, and no man can look in them except he be commanded, lest he should look for that he ought not, and he should perish. And whosoever is commanded to look in them, the same is called a seer. And behold, the king of the people, for in the land of Zarahemla is the man that is commanded to do these things, and who has this high gift from God. And the king said that a seer is greater than a prophet. And Haman said that a seer is a revelator and a prophet also, and a gift which is greater can no man have, except he should possess the power of God, which no man can. Yet a man may have great power given him from God, but a seer can know of things which are past, and also of things which are to come, and by them shall all things be revealed. Or rather, shall secret things be made manifest, and hidden things shall come to light. And things which are not known shall be made known by them, and also things shall be made known by them which otherwise could not be known. Thus God has provided the means that man, through faith, might work mighty miracles. Therefore he becometh a great benefit to his fellow beings. And now when Ammon had made an end of speaking these words, the king rejoiced exceedingly, and gave thanks to God, saying, Doubtless a great mystery is contained within these plates, and these interpreters were doubtless prepared for the purpose of unfolding all such mysteries to the children of men. Oh, how marvelous are the works of the Lord, and how long doth he suffer with his people. Yea, and how blind and impenetrable are the understandings of the children of men, for they will not seek wisdom, neither do they desire that she should rule over them. Yea, they are as a wild flock, which fleeth from the shepherd, and scattereth, and are driven, and are devoured by the beasts of the forest.
Now, I'd like to comment a little bit at this point and note how true are these words spoken by the king. We just heard recently of a retired general authority of the church in Europe who is greatly troubled by the report of some of the scribes of Joseph Smith that he didn't always need to use these interpreters called the Urim and Thummim in the way that the world thinks he should have, and because he was able to do the work of translation in a more convenient manner by placing them, or another such stone he had, in a hat that would block out the light so he could see the message given him more clearly, they have a fit. This is a perfect example of what King Limhi was talking about when he said, How blind and impenetrable are the understandings of the children of men, for they will not seek wisdom, neither do they desire that she should rule over them. Now, the Book of Mormon was translated by the gift and power of God, but many Gentiles have so hardened their hearts and blinded their minds that they can't see it. they try to find other explanations for how Joseph was able to produce it. I even watched one on TV the other night who was attributing the doctrine in the writings of the Book of Mormon to Emanuel Swedenborg. He was an 18th century Renaissance figure who investigated and wrote extensively on areas ranging from scientific and philosophic matters to engineering and political economy. But Swedenborg was obviously a very brilliant man. In contrast, however, Joseph Smith is regarded as a curious yet uneducated and superstitious country bumpkin. They know how unlikely that they, meaning those who fight against Zion, how unlikely it is that Joseph could have had the knowledge to write the book himself, and so they refuse to believe that he did it by the gift and power of God, and so they have this attempt to explain it as a work of fiction based on a myriad of external sources that somehow Joseph was able to cobble together in order to make his alleged deception credible. Well, this is just nonsense. No one who is familiar with the Bible would ever entertain it because, as we have seen and discussed in previous episodes of this program, the Book of Mormon fulfills the prophecies of the God of Israel recorded in the Bible in such a remarkable and inspiring manner that it's scarcely comprehensible, really, to students of it today. At least it's not fully comprehensible. I mean, it's comprehensible, but it's hard to fully appreciate how completely he would have had to understand those things in order to do what they claim they want to claim that he did. Today, students today, even with the historical and educational vantage points that they have access today, are at a loss to produce anything like that or even explain it sufficiently, unless they take it and understand and appreciate it from the Bible perspective, which most of them dismiss the Bible anyway. But to imagine that a farm boy living more than 180 years ago in rural New York, laboring every day on the farm to keep body and soul together, could have written this book in a way that it's written would be much more difficult to believe than to believe that it was written as he claims it was by the gift and power of God. But it's because they harden their hearts. They harden their hearts so much that they're blinded from seeing that these things are the things of God. They're his work. It's in connection with his work, his strange work, his act, his strange act, as he calls it. Having ears, they hear not, and having eyes, they see not, lest they should understand with their hearts, and the Lord should heal them. Now, this has grave consequences because they won't only miss out on the great and marvelous revelations to come, this great mystery, as the king was calling it, which the Lord shall soon reveal, but as the Lord lives, even that which they have shall be taken from them. So it's a sad commentary on what's happening, and it's happening at an ever more rapid pace. Well, let's get back to the text then. Eventually, King Limhi's people were reunited with those of the main body of Nephites in the city of Zarahemla. And the king of Zarahemla, King Mosiah, then took the plates and translated the record on those 24 gold plates by the power of God, gift and power of God, as Moroni explains in this next clip.
And this he did because of the great anxiety of his people, for they were desirous beyond measure to know concerning those people who had been destroyed. And now he translated them by the means of those 2 stones which were fastened into the 2 rims of a bow. Now these things were prepared from the beginning, and were handed down from generation to generation for the purpose of interpreting languages. And they have been kept and preserved by the hand of the Lord, that he should discover to every creature who should possess the land the iniquities and abominations of his people. And whosoever has these things is called seer, after the manner of old times. Now after Mosiah had finished translating these records, behold, it gave an account of the people who were destroyed, from the time that they were destroyed back to the building of the great tower, at the time the Lord confounded the language of the people, and they were scattered abroad upon the face of all the earth. Yea, and even from that time back until the creation of Adam. Now this account did cause the people of Mosiah to mourn exceedingly. Yea, they were filled with sorrow. Nevertheless it gave them much knowledge, in the which they did rejoice. And this account shall be written hereafter. For behold, it is expedient that all people should know the things which are written in this account.
Well, the wonderful thing about this knowledge, which comes to us from those who have slumbered in the ground, who are crying to us from the dust, is that it is a confirmation that the hand of the Lord was extended in preserving his people, and also in preserving a record of them clear back to the very beginning of time. Imagine what power the children of men will have in convincing their posterity that God does live and is actively engaged in preserving his people from the grasp of death and hell once these records are revealed. So, see, people mock that Joseph said, well, we don't have the record because he gave them back to the angel Moroni, who has charge of them to this day. That makes perfect sense, since most of them were sealed and they're to be revealed at a later date. And so we wait with great anxiety, anxiousness, not so much anxiety, but with anxiousness to the time when they will be revealed. But as far as I can tell from the scriptures, that's not going to happen probably until the new city is built, the holy city, the new Jerusalem. And those who didn't believe the message of the gospel, the restored gospel, even as it was declared to them, will be probably long gone by that time. Certainly they won't be part of the city of New Jerusalem and won't be taking part in the joyous time when these things are revealed, and the sealed part of the sealed book is then translated and shared among all the saints. So fortunately, though, we're going to continue reading here the last paragraph of the article. Fortunately, as the voices from the dust testify, the time will soon come when we shall have them in the own due time of the Lord, when in his wisdom he shall reveal them to us. For it is wisdom in God that they be kept from us as yet, that he might test the faith of the Gentiles, as he tested the faith of the Jews. For this reason, this part of the book from which the voices of the dust whisper to us remains sealed, waiting for the time when, in the wisdom of the Lord, the children of this generation are ready for the revelation contained therein. Now, that, as I said, I think that time will come when the city of New Jerusalem is built here in America. It's the place for it to be built is revealed. It's in Independence, Missouri. But what has to happen between now and then is incredible. So that's why we have to try to help these people who have rejected the Book of Mormon to understand that it is the work of God. They look at all these allegations that the prophet was a liar and that he was an adulterer and that he was a deceiver and all manner of wickedness that they accuse him of, and that somehow they justify his death at the hands of a painted, angry mob. Rather, nobody proved anything. Nobody took him to court to prove these things, and then execute him according to his crimes, as should have been done if he was guilty of them. But instead, he is murdered at the hands of a mob who took matters into their own hands. So how people can feel themselves justified in his murder is beyond belief, but they do, and they not only do that, but they accuse him because he took a gun that was smuggled into him into the jail, and he used it to try to defend himself as they were as the mob was shooting into the cell where he and his companions, including his brother, were. And so then he jumps out the window and they shoot him, and the rest is history. They ran thinking that the Mormon militia, which they had their own army at the time, a militia, was well equipped and everything, but they were afraid. The mob was afraid that the Mormons were coming, and they ran and dispersed. Of course, the Mormons never did come, and the story is history from there. But the thing is, we have seen that the only salvation remaining for the Gentiles is for them to be identified in the covenant and in the same covenant, and to worship at the same altar as Israel is enforced now upon the Gentiles, and has been since the death of Joseph. And the message of the Voices from the Dust, this website, is just that. We're trying to get them to understand that the Lord, in His mercy, and taking away the stumbling block of the Gentiles, which caused this awful state of blindness that Nephi saw that they were in, is to be done through the Book of Mormon. That if they wouldn't harden their hearts when the truth of the restoration is declared unto them, and if they would humble themselves and be baptized, they would see that the Book of Mormon is obviously of God, and they would understand from it the destiny of America, the fate of America, which they are so concerned about now, given the terrible one who is ascending. Now, not all of them are awake, but many of the Americans who are awake see that the fate of America is doom, the United States of America, and that the great economic crash that's inevitable is looming upon us, that the police state that has been put together right under our own noses is waiting for the time when that collapse will happen, and that soon the slaves, those of us, when we realize that we're slaves, according to Doctrine and Covenants, Section 87, will rise up against our masters who are disciplined and marshaled for war. And then that's the time when also the remnant left in the land will become exceedingly angry and vex the Gentiles, it says, with a sore vexation as they arm themselves. And so the mess that is imminent and ready to fall upon America is something that they need to understand and stop arguing about with these silly arguments that Joseph was a false prophet, that he was a deceiver, and the Book of Mormon is not of God. It's going to woe unto them, the Lord says, and you can see how the woes are being prepared. But anyway, we've got less than 90 seconds left now, so we'll take up, this is the end of the Witness of Judah, the end of the 7 articles that we've been studying here now for several weeks, and we see that it's a different look at the Bible, but what we're seeing is the development of things as they prepare us to understand the marvelous work and wonder, and to understand the parable, the allegory rather, of the wild and tame olive tree. So anyway, hopefully it's making sense, and any questions you can put in the comments, but hopefully you'll have a good day today, and tomorrow we'll take up the new series under the witness of Joseph. So have a good day, everybody, and I pray the Lord's choicest blessings to be with you all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.